Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it's time to look at a devblog for that I-180S. Now this isn't just a normal devblog. The reason for this is because, well, this coincides with what we know as the Battlefield Engineer event. Now obviously last time, or yesterday, we were given this picture. And this picture, if you actually click on it, you can see in the top it was called the Teaser Spring event. So my guess is this is going to overlap or annihilate the World War II Chronicles event, and this is going to be the new event, the Build-A-Bear event that we're going to get. But one of the interesting things that we saw yesterday was that the blueprints, or the prototypes, or the schematics here corresponded to specific vehicles. Now, with the confirmation of the I-180S, this basically means that the top one here, which is the I-180S, we can now take from this that these other vehicles also probably correspond to the other vehicles that were found. So we're talking about the Merkava, the 388V2, the tank destroyer from Germany, then there was a Soviet ship, and then the British light cruiser. So it seems that, at least from my point of view, we have kind of confirmed that these actually matter when it comes to it with the addition of the I-180S. Now we just have to work out which variants of everything we're going to see. As I said before, the German TD, well, it's not a TD, the German AA machine, the prototype, it has two versions, one with the well, different 88s basically. So it's just working out, you know, which one we're actually going to get, and also how this event is going to work. We have no real information about this event. This is the first time I think we've ever got a devblog about an event before we even know what the event is. And yes, I do personally think it's some form of Build-A-Bear event, and I hope it's an event which goes over a long period of time, but I don't know. It's kind of as simple as that. I hope this is just like the squadron events, which are hopefully coming soon. That it's just going to be, instead of an event which is just what's the word? Instead of an event which is timed, which will make it pretty hard to get all 6 of these vehicles, hopefully it's just one of those longer events which just goes over months and months and months. I think in the grand scheme of things, when we look at War Thunder, we have monthly events a lot of the time. We have bi-weekly stuff when it comes to decals things. We have dailies. We also have war bond tasks. There's a lot of stuff going on in the game when it comes to general events. You've also got other decals and other achievements and challenges. So what War Thunder is looking for is a longer style event, one that we don't have, which would be like the World of Tanks era, you know, blueprint events. So for me, this Battlefield Engineer event, I hope it's like it. If it's not, then, well, it's going to be a bit of a grind. But then again, the Squadron Battle event, or the Squadron event that hopefully is coming soon, with stuff like the Firecrest and stuff like the other PR-159, I can't remember exactly what it's called. But yeah, I've had a look on them on the channel, so if you want to have a look, you can. But the main thing is, hopefully, we see them. So, what's special about the I-180S? Well, it's made by, first of all, Polikarpov, and if you don't know who he is, he's a very famous designer when it comes to the Soviet Union. Made a lot of aircraft back in the day, especially around World War II, including the I-180. Now, what is the I-180? Well, it's a development of the I-16. As you can see, it does take quite a lot from its predecessor. The I-180S, in general, actually has an open-style cockpit. Some of the other designs didn't, but the I-180S, which is seen as the production version of this machine, does have itself an open thing. On top of this, it also has 2 lower-caliber ShKASs and 2 mid-caliber ShKASs, so 2 12.7s and 2, I believe they're 7.62s. So one of the great things about the ShKASs is their crazy high fire rate, so you can get a lot of damage out very, very quickly. And one of the things that I say to new players is it may be worth at the end of the day, starting with the Soviets, just because if you're in arcade or if you're in a realistic, the ShKASs are great guns to be able to deal with a lot of enemies. You also get a lot of ammo, so learning to aim with them, I think, is generally a good idea. On top of this, since it is a development of the I-16, it does share a lot of the characteristics with it, but the main one is obviously the general shape, but it is slightly bigger than its predecessors. Now, the I-180S and the I-180s in general, they actually have kind of a checkered past, even though they were shown to be incredibly fast, which was one of the main things they were looking for after the I-16. I ran into a few snags, and the snags themselves weren't always the plane's fault. Now, this is something that has to be remembered all the time in history. One of the things I've personally talked about in a few videos, talking about stuff like the the ME-209, for example, is the bureaucracy and the politics behind pretty much everything when it comes to either aircraft design or tank design or whatever at the time. You had Ernst Heinkel and you had Willy Messerschmitt, and they were generally, competing for the fastest speed record. The 209 beat it with an upgraded engine. Heinkel wanted to try and beat it, and he was basically told by the government, stop wasting your time. We want this to be, our propaganda piece. Go away, Mr. Heinkel. So the same thing happened with the Soviets. Polikarpov wasn't exactly favored by Stalin, and therefore, after numerous tests of the I-180, ranging from 1938 from its initial design to 1940, when the design was ended, let's just say that Stalin didn't really approve of Polikarpov and what he was doing, and also there was a general skeptical nature around the radial engine. What this basically means is, with the Soviets not really liking the radial engine and preferring other methods of engine, if you build a machine with a radial engine, it's always going to be unfavored, and that's pretty much what happened to the I-180. So, in 1940, basically Polikarpov was told, stop this and make me some lags. So that's exactly what he did, at the factory that he was working at. So the story of the I-180 is kind of unfortunate, really. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't a pretty decent aircraft. It was able to nearly go 600 kilometers an hour in a straight line. It was seen as a good medium altitude fighter, and also during testing, one of the snags that it ran into a hell of a lot as well, just because it's credited that the Soviet test pilots found it quite hard to control because of the power of the engine. I mean, that might be the case. The issue with it, though, is that the I-185, it was said the same thing, and instead of that, the I-185 tore itself apart because of its engine, and it wasn't the Soviet test pilot's fault. So just take that bit with a grain of salt. But as you can see, this is an I-180S on its back, trying to what looks like land and unfortunately fail. And yeah, they just ran into a lot of issues with this aircraft, but eventually, when they were ready to go, in 1940, it was pretty much rejected, which is kind of sad for us. And it's kind of funny that in this video, the only tagline that is for the aircraft is the fact that it's called the Red Dodger, which I just find kind of funny. But as you can see, it does have a really nice red skin on it. It also has the red star. You can see at medium altitudes, 585 kilometers an hour. The only thing there we go, 7.62s and 12.7s. The only thing that I'm really interested in is twofold. If it's going to be rank 1 or rank 2, because it's also shown that this vehicle is going to have premium. So, does that mean all of these are going to have premium, or does that mean only a few of them are going to have premium? Like, generally, something that we've seen in the past is with events. If you go to like some of the higher tier vehicles, you haven't done this in a while, but let's say the aviation side of things, something like a Ki 94-2 was not given premium because it was a higher tiered aircraft. So I'm just wondering if they're going to do it dirty like the Ki 94, or if they're going to do it well like the T-30, which does have it. So that's a consideration to make. But the other thing is if it's going to be rank 1 or rank 2, because at rank 1 we have some disgusting Soviet fighters, which are incredibly good when it comes to the premium. They've kind of been spoilt in a way when it comes to the premium offerings of the Soviet Union, and I'll show you why. So the first aircraft is the I-301. Now, this is pretty much the first aircraft that was added to the Soviet tree at this level, which wasn't a very rare one. You know, you have the Lag 3-4, of course, and also you have stuff such as the MBR-2, M34, and the TB-3M, but I would say on a fighter perspective, this was the first one that was added, which was just insane. Its BR, I believe, when it was added was either 1.7 or 2.0, and because of that, I played it a few times. I'm not even sure what my statistics are in the thing nowadays. We could probably have a look. But it was absolutely disgusting. It was a crazy good aircraft at the end of the day. And here we go. 4 matches, 4 victories, 12 kills, 1 death. After that, I realized there is no reason for me to fly this thing, because it is insanely good. And this was before the BR changes. I believe I played one after the BR changes at 2.7 and still did really well. So this became a hangar decoration for me just because of how good it was. Now this has 2 7.62s, it has 2 12.7s, but it also has the 23 in the nose, which, you know, obviously makes it very much combat effective. This is one of the best event vehicles they've ever given away. When it comes to War Thunder, it is just an insanely good vehicle, and I'm worried that the this one, the I-180, is going to be very similar to it, you know, in stature, because of the speed of it. Look at the max speed. Because of the guns, this one has slightly better guns, and because of the overall maneuverability of the 180, which should be slightly better than the 301. The slight dud of the area is the tandem Mai. And the reason why it's a dud is because this aircraft is, by itself, not really a out-and-out fighter. This is more of kind of a mid fighter, I suppose you'd call it, where it's designed for ground attack and also designed to go after other fighters. It also only has 4 7.62 ShKASs, so it's slightly worse, but it's got the wonderful turret on the back. So this can be seen as a weird and wonderful prototype, which is kind of cool, but it's never going to be truly combat effective. The other monstrosity that was added to the game maybe a year or two ago, after all of these other ones, is the I-29. Now, the I-29 is ridiculously good. It's another one of those aircraft I don't want to touch. This one was added when the Yak-4 and the Yak-2 were not in the game. I believe this was added beforehand. And what you got out of this vehicle is insanely good ShVACs, insanely good ShKASs, a hell of a lot of power out of the engines, and a hell of a lot of power out of everything else. And because it has that little bit of armor on the front, it means that head-ons are possible in a good way. It also means that other stuff is incredibly possible in other ways. And it ruled the skies if you took it out. So I flew it a few times, just like the I-301, and I knew, no, I'm not flying this again. So the Soviets at rank 1 have insanely good gift premiums. You know, even the bombers. The MBR-2 is a lot of fun. Not the best, but it's fun. And it also is good in naval. Then you got the TB-3M, of course, the mothership. Then you got stuff like the Lag 3-4. But the main thing is they have insane fighters. Like, it's just as simple as that. And I'm hoping that this will join the ranks and also be incredibly good, so it can become a hangar decoration for me. And the thing is, with the general design of it, you can also see that it can carry bombs. So that's nice about it. It also has the ability of opening the cockpit, which is a nice little addition as well. But for me, when I look at this and I compare it to something like the I-301, what I see is a slightly more stubby aircraft, which is not going to do as well in a straight line, but it's going to make up for it in the turn. And therefore, it will fit the meta of what is rank 1 a lot better. The Soviets in general at rank 1 and rank 2 are very good aircraft because they mix the balance of acceleration through energy retention and also the ability to turn pretty well. And that means that you can get into good positions against enemies and be able to outdo them either in the acceleration department or in the turning department. And the only time you really struggle is if, let's say, a German pilot knows what they're doing and they just take you to high altitudes. There's not really a lot you can do there. But a lot of them don't. A lot of them dive and a lot of them go for kills and you just follow them and kill them. When it comes to the I-180, I feel like it's going to be exactly the same story. Mid to low altitude, it's going to be maneuverable, you're going to have great speed, going to be able to chuck it around the place. High altitude is probably going to struggle, to be honest, just like all the rest of them do. So I'm really looking forward to this aircraft to join the ranks and also to get another Red Devil in the list, creating the 3 Red Devils that we have at least around rank 1. It also makes me hope that soon we get more information about this battlefield engineer idea because, well, I want to see what it is. I want to see if it's a long-term event, a short-term event, you know. I'm guessing it's going to incorporate the workshop, and a lot of people asked where the workshop is. If you went to inventory back in the day, if you went to inventory, then you used to have 3 tabs. You'd have inventory, item shop, and then workshop, which will be here, and I'm sure that'll be back when these vehicles come to the game. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a wonderful day. I'd like to thank B. Young, Blackie, Dyslexic Child, Moxie, Olo Brolo, Martinez, and Super Cacti for supporting me on Patreon.